Hey everyone, it's really good to see you today. A lot of you have been asking what's going on with the $2,000 stimulus check idea and whether it's actually happening before Christmas. And honestly, I get the concern. Money is tight, prices keep rising, and when you hear the president talking about checks, tariffs, and something called a dividend payment, it's natural to wonder if a real payout is coming, especially during the holidays. But here's something most people don't realize. President Trump has already talked about the timing of these checks, and what he said caught a lot of people off guard. There's also a key detail about how much tariff money the government has collected so far and how that compares to what these checks would cost. And that part will definitely make you think. So stick with me, because the real picture is very different from what you might be seeing online. I went through all the statements and reports myself so you don't have to, and I'm going to give you the clearest possible explanation. Before we go deeper, let me ask you a simple question. If a check like this did happen, what's the first thing you'd want to use it for? Groceries, rent, bills, a little breathing room? Whatever it is, share it below. I read your stories and many others do too. All right, let's talk about this $2,000 tariff dividend. A lot of people are calling it that because the idea is that the money would come from tariffs, basically taxes on imported goods, not taxes on you. Trump has talked about this for a long time, even during the campaign. The concept is simple. The government collects tariff money, and instead of using it only for debt or general spending, part of it would go directly to middle-income Americans. But here's where the confusion starts. For the past few weeks, there have been posts, headlines, and videos claiming checks are coming before Christmas, or that the IRS is preparing payments, and it makes you think something changed. But here's the truth. There is no bill, no law, no IRS program, nothing official that would allow any $2,000 check to go out in 2025. The IRS has even said publicly that they are not sending out any new payments because no new law has been passed. And Trump himself made it very clear just a few days ago. When someone asked whether checks might arrive this year, he said, "No, not this year, next year sometime." And when he said next year, he wasn't talking about early 2026. He suggested it would be toward the middle of the year or even later. He even hinted that the timing could line up before the 2026 midterm elections. Whenever a president ties a benefit to an election year, people notice. It doesn't automatically mean anything negative, but it definitely suggests this is a long-term idea, not something happening right away. There's also the simple reality that government programs take time. Even the pandemic stimulus checks, where there was enormous political pressure, took tons of debate, negotiations, rulemaking, and IRS logistics. Even when everyone agrees, the government moves slowly. And here's where the math becomes important. Tariffs are bringing in money, but not enough to fully fund these checks. Tariff revenues for 2025 so far are around $195 billion. Sounds huge, but if you give $2,000 to every adult making under $100,000, around 150 million people, the cost would be about $300 billion. And that's just adults. If children were included, the cost would be even higher. So the revenue collected so far doesn't cover the full amount, and that raises big questions. Where would the rest of the money come from? Would the checks be smaller than $2,000? Would the government borrow the difference? These are things the administration would need to figure out before anything could happen, and right now, none of that is settled. Now let's talk about eligibility. Trump says middle and moderate income Americans, but that's broad. Middle income looks very different depending on where you live. Traditionally, the government uses limits like $75,000 for individuals and $150,000 for couples. But right now, none of those numbers are official, so anything you see online about income limits is just guesswork. Who would this help? Working parents struggling with bills and holiday expenses. Seniors on Social Security trying to afford medication and groceries. Veterans on fixed income. Disabled Americans on SSI or SSDI. Unemployed people still job hunting. But again, until a real bill exists, it's all speculation. And then there's the economy. Supporters say families need help, Prices are high, wages haven't kept up, and a $2,000 boost could genuinely help millions of people. But there are concerns too. People remember how the pandemic stimulus checks contributed to inflation, not the only cause, but definitely a factor. Another round of big payments could fuel inflation again, which would hit seniors and low-income families the hardest. Economists are also worried about stagflation, slow economic growth, rising unemployment, and higher prices all at once. A big check could give a short-term boost, but then fade, leaving behind inflation pressure. And of course, there's the setup time. Even if Trump's team wrote a full bill tomorrow, it would need to pass Congress, which is extremely divided right now. Then the IRS would need months to build the system, test it, set eligibility rules, and coordinate with banks. So, no matter what anyone says online, there is no pre-Christmas payment, there is no December deposit, there is no IRS schedule, there is no approved $2,000 check. The earliest anything like this could realistically happen is sometime in 2026, and only if Congress passes an actual bill and the funding math is sorted out. Now let me ask you something important. If you could talk to the president directly, what would you tell him about this proposal? Would you say, do it faster? Be careful about inflation? Help seniors first? Help working parents? Or something else entirely? Everyone's perspective matters, and sometimes the comment section becomes a place where people share real stories that help others understand what Americans are facing right now. As we head into the holidays, I know a lot of people were hoping for better news. Even though the answer for this year is no, I still want you to stay encouraged. Relief can come in different forms, and we'll keep watching every official update together. Whenever something real happens, you'll hear it from me. No clickbait, no false promises, just facts. In the meantime, if you're struggling, there are other programs that might help. I've got videos on tax refunds, emergency assistance, and benefits you may qualify for. Those are linked in the description. If you found this helpful and want to stay updated on stimulus news, benefits, and anything that puts money back in your pocket, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Thank you for being here today, truly. I read your comments, I see your stories, and I genuinely care about giving you information you can actually use. Take care of yourself and your family.